Secretary of State Rex Tillerson meeting with Chinese officials to discuss new ways to deal with North Korea today. This after President Trump put China on notice following its failure to keep North Korea at bay. The president tweeting, and I quote, "While I greatly appreciate the efforts of President Xi in China to help with North Korea, it has not worked out. At least I know China tried." Exclamation point. Today's talks immediately follow the tragic death of American student Otto Warmbier, who was fatally injured while being held in North Korea for over a year. But if China can't pursue North Korea or persuade them to rein in its aggressive tactics, then what should we be doing here? How do we deal with China? Can we influence them at all to influence North Korea? Joining me right now is retired four-star general and Fox News military analyst, General Keane. General, welcome back. Good to have you here.
Good to be
here. It's a little
Trish.
frustrating. I mean, the president's saying himself, China's really not able to do this. So if China can't do it, what do we do?
Well, first of all, we've discussed this a number of times, Trish. We said that China, while telling the president they were going to help, and certainly the president gave him plenty of rope to do that, we said here that it's likely that they're gaming us because that's what they have always done. They put certainly their interest ahead of our interest, to be sure, and they put stability on the peninsula ahead of this nuclear program. Because the Chinese, after all, Trish, they tolerated nuclear weapons coming onto the peninsula in North Korea, and they certainly tolerated a ballistic missile program. And many of those ballistic missiles that North Korea has look remarkably similar to the ones that Chinese have. So I think what Tillerson is likely saying to them, I can only speculate, is that, look, you told us you were going to help. You haven't really done much of anything. We're asking you one more time to do this, or we're going to just have to take some other actions, and some of which you're probably not going to like. Okay,
so what does that mean, other actions? Because I think, and you've been saying all along, that's right, General, you can't fully trust what China's doing. We've now seen that on display. So with that in mind, what do we do? What would you recommend we do?
Well, a couple of things I think we're likely to see, and the administration probably won't talk too much about this because it's got to be behind closed doors, certainly, but we'll go to our allies, and anybody that's doing any kind of business with North Korea that has any relationship with the United States, we're going to ask them to shut them down. And also we'll try to find, the Bush administration very successfully was able to sanction banks that were actually holding money that were the personal money of the leadership of the regime, and deal with that bank based on their dealings with our allies. And then I think this is the kicker. We're probably going to have to sanction China for the first time. And that may be what Tillerson's putting on the table.
Wow.
Because 90% of all the business that's done between China and North Korea, is North Korea's business. So
that's
we said that
decision,
before.
General. I mean, I know it's been threatened, but that would be a big decision. I mean, and that would have certainly some major economic implications as well. Yeah,
and I think it's all going to be a part of. We have a new administration here. It looks very realistically at the world. They're returning American leadership to its very responsible role. We're very concerned about our allies, and China's trampling all over our interests. Not just economically in terms of trade, but also geopolitically in the region, our allies as well. I think we'll see this administration move into a much tougher policy with China writ large.
Can we not just get rid of the bad guy there in North Korea? I mean, can we not just sort of in some way, shape, or form go in, take him out, and avoid all these other issues with China, the threat of hurting innocent people there in North and South Korea?
Well, actually, we're forbidden by law to assassinate anybody.
I know, but you know that we play by those rules, but they don't.
But what I think we always would have wanted to do is to have China recognize that this leader is in of himself destabilizing not only the peninsula but the region. And it's in China's interest to find a new leader. That would be something that would be very doable. I don't believe the Chinese, at least in the near term, are going to do that.
Yeah, no, I know we have that law. I'm troubled by it because what happens is innocent people wind up becoming victims of these situations where, you know, you just want to change the situation at hand, and you want to change the leadership, and you want to be able to get them out while not having a slew of problems along the way. Let me ask you as well, General, about Russia, because diplomatic relations seem to be deteriorating there. As far as Syria goes, is this turning, in your view, into some kind of proxy war with Russia? And do we really know what we want to accomplish there in Syria?
Well, that's a tough question, as you usually do. You ask pretty hard questions. So what's going on with Russia? Well, first of all, Russia putting us on notice that they're going to track our aircraft and imply that they will shoot something down if it flies west of the Euphrates, that is not going to happen. They're not going to shoot any American airplane down, Trish, because we would destroy their air base in Syria. And the Russians, they really have it pretty good right now. They have successfully propped up the Assad regime indefinitely. Big victory for them. Number two, they have a strategic asset in Syria in this air base in addition to their naval base, where they can leverage their national interest in the entire region of the Middle East, and they are doing that. They don't want to do anything that jeopardizes that. So that's why we have rhetoric, but we're not going to have a lot of action other than harassing a ship or an airplane from time to time, which they continuously do, and the best thing to do about that is just don't pay much attention to it. So, yes, the situation with Russia in terms of it is a deteriorating situation, to be sure, overall, not just because of Syria, but what they're doing with the Eastern Europe and our allies there as well. But it's not in the near term going to lead to a conflict with Russia over Syria.
Yeah,
we're certainly not going to do anything but protect our own forces, which is what we were doing when we struck down the Syrian airplane, because it was bombing the forces that we were leading.
General Jack Keane, thank you very much. Good to have you here today.
Good talking to you, Trish.